In the third stimulus package, there's a lot of money for businesses, and it can be up to $5,000. You're going to get a $1,400 stimulus check. You got that. But how about the other money if you have a business? How much money can you get? 5,000, 10,000, up to $5 million for a business of free money? Yes. This is Business Lunch, and in this video, I go over the big money you can get for business grants. Starting, going forward, and more in the third stimulus package. I have all the details for you right now on Noontime LALATE. There's a lot of money for a lot of people in the third stimulus package for business grants. And this video I go over those business grants. Congratulations. You're getting a $14 third stimulus check in the third stimulus package, but in addition to that, there's a lot of money for you as well. This is Business Lunch, in which I go over the big money for businesses. And this includes anyone from a sole practitioner to a person with less than 10 employees. Let's get right to it. But first, if you've not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe on this video so you don't miss an entire recording throughout the day. I'm back with one other recording in just a few minutes from now on Noontime with the big other updates on what's happening across the board. All right, let's get to the details. Under the third stimulus package, you can get a $5,000 EIDL grant. Yes, you can. Do you have to be in a low-income based community? Nope, you don't. Do you have to have 20,000 employees? No, no, you don't. So who gets this EIDL grant? Is this the only grant in the third stimulus package? Are there other grants? Are there loans? Are there existing grants under the second stimulus package and more? Yes, yes, and yes. I have all the details for you in this recording. Make sure you stay to the end because I have surprises later in this video. All right, let's get to each of them one at a time. Under the third stimulus package, you can get a $5,000 EIDL grant. It's available to you based upon two qualifications. One, you have less than 10 employees, and two, you had a downturn of your business. Very straightforward. There is no other requirement for you across the board. Now, it is presumed that you have a Schedule C. And if you don't have a Schedule C, you need to amend your tax return to make sure it has a Schedule C if this is who you are. Uber, Lyft, Grubhub, Airbnb, Postmates, all those qualify for this EIDL grant. Each business that you have can apply separately from an EIDL grant, presumably if they have different tax identities, meaning one is an LLC, one is a corporation, one is you, or one is an LLC. Each of them can get their own EIDL grant. Where, when, and how do you get it? You're going to get it on SBA.gov. Who applies for it? You do. How do you apply for it? On the website. When does it go live? It's not live yet. When will it go live? Any minute. And the minute it goes live, you need to pounce as a subscriber. This video is important for you to education of what this looks like so that when it goes live, you know exactly how to answer the questions. On Overnight LALATE, we have EIDL, which goes over the EIDL grant. And it's important to watch that video so you know the questions and answers you can have when filling out the grant. Here is why I say this is important. In April last year, I spent 4 months going over the EIDL grant with viewers who had not filled it out right and had not gotten paid the money. Don't presume that because it's an online application, it's very easy breezy. There are missteps you may make, and if you make a misstep, you won't get a penny and the funds will run out. So watch those EIDL videos because it informs you how to answer the questions for the EIDL grant. It'll be the same application process again, because you want to do it right the first time. Next, when would that EIDL grant go live? This is a real surprise. Elijah Wan, everyone welcome Elijah Wan to the family. This is a big question because it could go live tomorrow, it can go live Tuesday. The minute it goes live, you absolutely have to apply right away because the funds will be gone in about 3 days. Then let's turn to the next grant. The next grant is a strange EIDL grant, which doesn't make any sense, that is based upon a grant process that was never opened. Now, I'm telling you it exists under the third stimulus package so you are aware of it. This is what I call the weird EIDL grant. It makes no sense, but I expect that to go live as well. Don't look for that one. That is not the one that I just referred to. Then, SBA will also go live with a grant for businesses that are restaurant-based. This is anything from a food truck all the way up to fine dining. And this is a very simple calculation as well for this one. It is based upon 2020 revenue subtracted from 2019 revenue. That's how much grant you will get. You can get the grant for multiple locations of the same restaurant up to a certain threshold. That's also really good news. And again, you apply for it on sba.gov. Then there's also a shuttered venue grant. If you have a venue that was shut down because of the pandemic, for a lockdown, you can get a grant for that one as well. All right, so those are the those are the grants under third stimulus. There will also be another PPP round that starts as a loan and turns into a grant. But is there a grant to start a new business? There does not appear to be one in the stimulus package. The president claims there is one in there. I have not seen that stimulus package in there. There is Genesia. Everyone welcome Genesia to the family. Thank you for becoming a member of this family, along with Elijah Wan. Thank you for the new members, and everyone welcome the new members to the family. The president claims there's a business grant to start a new business in this third stimulus package. I don't see it in there. Let's turn back then to other business grants. Well, before that, one other item. The president says that the third stimulus package creates a navigator program, and it does. How does that navigator program work? We really don't know yet. There's a navigator program that'll help you find business grants if you're looking for a business grant, and the ones I described for you don't help. So is that navigator program the one to find the business to start, the grant to start a new business? Maybe. Ultimately, it's a strange name with a lot of strange details to it. It's one of those things that you just don't know what you're looking at. Let's turn back to second stimulus. The second stimulus has a series of grants and loans that are available for you right now. The first one is the EIDL loan. Let's go over that one right now. Now, the EIDL loan is open right now. You can go get it. It's at sba.gov. How does it work? It'll ask you to answer a series of questions on an online website, and that form is the same one they use for the grant. What do you have to have? No collateral if you're under $25,000 of an EIDL loan, but you need a credit score. That credit score is Experian Advantage 3.0. And that Experian Advantage 3.0 credit score you can get by doing a boost, which will raise your score 25 points for free, or by calling up Experian and removing the adverse entries. Now, there's two reasons I like the EIDL. One, it pays really quickly. It pays in about 3 days. And number two, it's money you can get. If you don't want it, you can return it with no early repayment penalties within 1 year. And then we're off to PPP land. There's a lot of PPP you can get under that second stimulus as well. PPP is available for you, which starts as a loan and turns into a grant. The PPPs are available the following way. You reach out to the online lenders like Fundera or Cabbage, and they can help you get approved. They give you the documentation you need to submit to get approval. Thank you, Juliet, for becoming a Purple Hawk. Everyone welcome Juliet to the family. And when you submit that documentation, they tell you if the documentation is complete or not. If it's not, they get back to you and ask you to fill out more documentation. It's very easy breezy because in this regard, there's no mistake to it. There is no mistake to be made. Reasons I like the PPP: one, it's a grant, ultimately. It starts as a loan but turns into grant. Number two, no credit score needed. Number three, no collateralization needed. And number four, it's very easy. They hold your hand, the online lenders, until you're approved. So really great news. It's important to understand that when we're looking at reopening a country or reopening a business, you need sometimes that debt. Thank you, Lisa, for the super chat. I really appreciate it. You sometimes need the debt. Here's an example. In May of last year, when EIDL loans were heating up on this channel, one of the common messages I said in all my recordings at the time is that if you do not want to be collateralized for your loan, ask less than $25,000. That is the threshold for the loan. Well, guess what happened in the months that followed? In the months that followed, by the winter, more businesses saw they were still on lockdown longer than they anticipated. And some of them regretted taking a smaller EIDL loan because of the collateralization and wanted to increase their EIDL loan. To date, they've had a lot of problems increasing their EIDL loans. The reason I'm bringing up this message is very simple. Countless viewers of this channel by fall of 2020 wanted a bigger EIDL loan. I still have viewers to this day sending me private messages every few days saying, I want to increase my EIDL loan. When you have a business and you want to keep your business afloat, sometimes debt, like a loan, is a very helpful instrument. So ultimately, when you're considering between grants and debt, don't run away from debt because it is debt. Often consider debt with a grant because ultimately that debt may be the way to get from point A to point Z for your business. You need to pay for collateral. You need to pay for payroll, you need to pay for equipment, and you need to pay your suppliers. And that debt helps with things like that. And with that, let me see if there's any questions in the room about the business grants. Thank you for the help. I appreciate that. I can't wait. I got my car payment. Oh, congratulations. There's good debt and bad debt. Not all debt is bad. That's well said. I love that. I love that. That's a great comment. Does being in a Twitch stream that earns some income get anything like EIDL or other things? Well, you have to declare this as a business. So if you actually have a business, like an online business that involves using Twitch, and you declare taxes for it, absolutely. But if it's just something that's making you money, then no. If you received unemployment, House of the Princesses, if you received unemployment, can you apply for the PPP as SCORP? I don't know what the SCORP is referring to. But the question I often got over the years is, over the last year, is can I get a PPP and unemployment? You can, but here's where PPP and unemployment run in contrast. Let me explain. The PPP and unemployment run in contrast the following scenario. When you're given a PPP, then you have to spend the money to get back to work. Here's an example. Let's say you get $10 of PPP. You have to spend the money to commence operations. And when you spend that money, you submit those receipts for forgiveness that turns the loan into a grant, that forgives the PPP, turns it into a grant. Well, if you get the PPP money, you can't stay unemployed anymore. You actually have to be working. Here's an example. Let's say you're an Uber driver and you get $5,000 of PPP. Well, guess what? As soon as you get the $5,000, you need to get back to work and you need to start driving. And then you submit those receipts for driving to forgive the $5,000 of PPP. At the same time, you can't be on unemployment for Uber if you're driving. So they generally do conflict. They don't conflict during the application stage. But once you get the money for PPP, you can't be unemployed and also on a PPP. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck with a loan for the PPP, not with a grant. That's a great question, though. Wonderful question. Someone else asked a really great question about EIDL and PPP, but I did miss it. You can get an EIDL and a PPP, but you have to disclose the EIDL on the PPP application. And so that impacts the amount of the PPP. So in essence, there is nothing that prevents you from getting an EIDL and a PPP, but you have to disclose it, and that impacts the amount of the money you get. Oh, there's another question. Is if it's a new business, but I have a tax IT number, can I get a loan or a grant? It really depends. A lot of the PPP lenders will give you a timeline for this. So for example, let's say you mean new as to 2021. Generally not. If it's new as to 2020, then it depends on the lender. It really depends on the applicant that you're going through for that PPP. But that's a great question as well. EIDL grant start business late in 2019, but 12 months in 2020 was more than 3 months in 2019. I don't know what that question means. Katerina, hey LALATE, when or where does in-home healthcare workers count for a grant that is like through hazard pay, or is it something else? So if you're a sole practitioner and you're an in-home healthcare provider and you declare taxes with a Schedule C, and that's what you do, you can absolutely get an EIDL grant, absolutely. But if you're a W-2 and someone else pays you salary and you're a salary employee, then no, you would not get an EIDL grant. But that was a great question as well. Really, really good questions. And then we got some stimulus check questions as well. There we are. Oh, and then there's a hazard pay. Hazard pay for essentials. Absolutely. So let me give you the big recap where we are on our business grants. There's a lot of great assistance you can get if you have a business. You can get, under third stimulus, a $5,000 EIDL grant exactly if you have less than 10 employees and you had a downturn of your business. That application has not gone live yet, but when it does, it's at sba.gov. Also going live there soon is the restaurant grant and the shuttered venue grant. Also coming soon is another round of PPP, which is a grant. Then under second stimulus, you can get also a PPP and an EIDL loan. The EIDL loan is currently open at sba.gov, and the PPP you can get from online lenders like Fundare and Cabbage, who can guide you through the process and hold your hand and answer your questions and assist you with the application process. Join me every day for business grants at this time slot where we go over the money you can get for your business. Bring your questions and I'm here to answer them as well. Those are great questions about how to get your business afloat as you move forward during this pandemic. And now as we go into the top of the hour, I have big developing news, wow, about what Wall Street's thinking in this massive fourth stimulus package news that's heating up today. If you've not hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you to the new members during this video, and stay with me as Noontime LALATE goes into its final half hour.